Well, it's been 3 days since my cataract surgery on my left eye, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit as I am further along in the recovery process. Literally on the desk behind me, there are a bunch of eye drops. Not a bunch, I have two, but I have to take them 4 times a day, so it's been a process. So first of all, what happened? What was the surgery? For those who may not know, I have cataracts, or had rather, cataracts in both eyes, along with my detached retinas, glaucoma, and funny shaped corneas. So I have a laundry list of things going on, but the cataracts were the most front facing and the most kind of debilitating in terms of an ophthalmologist's ability to look into my entire kind of eye condition and what's going on. So we made the decision to remove the cataract on my left eye, which actually means removing the lens in my eye. So for those of you who don't like eye things, I will try not to be overly graphic, but essentially behind your eye, there's a lens that focuses light, and a cataract is when there is like a calcium that grows on that lens and basically clouds it over. So if you've ever like breathed on a window and you see that it gets blurry, that's sort of the idea. Not exactly, but basically the lens on my eye was getting too blurry. And so, number one, I couldn't see out of it. But number two, ophthalmologists couldn't see into it to look behind the lens and look at my retinas and things like that. And so that lens was removed, the one with the pretty significant cataract on it, and it was replaced with a silicone lens, so a fake lens not produced by the human body. And that was done on Monday of this week. And in terms of recovery, I have been feeling relatively well, in terms of, no eye pain or discomfort after about the first 24 hours, because that's pretty common for this type of surgery. So if you've ever gotten like a piece of dirt in your eye, or had something kind of blow in there, if it's windy out, that's what it felt like for probably the first 12 to 16 hours or so. But once that cleared up, and throughout the last 3 days, it's been pretty okay. But what I wanted to talk about in this video is something that I wasn't expecting. And number one, that's the result of the surgery. So as I said on this channel before, I was preparing for my vision to potentially deteriorate, just because that's the only thing I could prepare for. Now, I used a sleep shade. I did some, practice navigating my house and my work environment where I could. I made some adaptations at my job to try to make sure the area was more navigable for me. What I wasn't prepared for was the alternative, and I talked about this not long before the surgery. And so on paper, before the surgery, when I still had a cataract in that eye, my vision in my left eye was 20/800. So perfect vision is measured as 20/20. So what you see at 20 feet is what, if you have 20/20 vision, that's what everyone else sees while 20 feet away. Now, if I were to go 20 feet from something and you wanted to see it the same way that I did, you would have to go 800 feet away from that same object, like a sign or something, to be able to see it in the same way that I do. And a lot of people ask, what does that mean? And now that I literally have a cataract in one eye and not a cataract in the other, I have a way to explain it, but I don't know if it's accurate. So I'm gonna do my best. Right now, so I'm gonna close my left eye and I'm looking at my phone that has the camera filming me in it. And I can tell you that I know it's the camera, and so I can see that there's a thing in the middle of the screen that is hopefully me, which means I'm in frame and I'm okay. If I now look with my left eye, I can almost tell you that that's a person. I have a little bit more detail, and I did not have this level of detail at all prior to my surgery. And if I've ever had it in my life, it has not been this intensely clear, and it freaks me out. I did not know that the world had this much contrast, and it's very, very overwhelming. And I had a hard time yesterday when I tried to return to my job, because essentially what's happening is that my eyes are processing or are seeing things. My lens is focusing in a way that it never has before. And so my brain is having a really hard time processing what that all means. So I see things clearer, I might see more detail, or I might be able to pick out something that I couldn't before, but I can't interpret it fast enough. I can't understand what that clarity means or how it's significant. And so the issue I'm having is that the world and like existing in the world right now is exhausting. Looking at things, just even if I'm not trying to like read or focus in on anything specific, just looking at stuff, which if you're a person with vision, you just do that, intentional or not, is exhausting for me. And so yesterday I made it about 5 hours into my shift and I went to my supervisor and I was like, I really need to go home. I can't do it. And that was tough because I felt like I had failed in some way, but it's just like, no, my brain literally can't keep up with what my eyes are now, or my eye is now seeing. And so I went home and I literally like slept the entire afternoon, woke up, for a little while in the evening. We took our dog for a walk and I went back to bed. And today I did make it my full shift, but I had to use loop earplugs, which I've plugged, pun intended, on this channel before, because what essentially that boils down to is that I could use the earplugs to kind of dull the noise around me so that the overstimulus was only coming from one place instead of two. And that sort of helped, but it doesn't help with the vision, it just helps with the audio. And so it was still tough. And I already talked to my wife and I was like, can we go to like the mall this weekend? I need to practice being in kind of stimulating environments in small doses, to kind of work on, adjusting and recovering. And so I could maybe document some of that process. But, so I had 2,800, right? Going into the surgery. Long tangent that was relevant, but not relevant aside. Now I have 20 over 500. And so where before you would have had to stand 800 feet away from something to see what I see at 20 feet, now you can almost half that distance, right? So I don't have the best way to explain this, but my understanding is it's rather similar to like screen resolution. And so if I used to see things, let's say at probably, I'm gonna guess, what's half of 720? Is that the 360p maybe? Or maybe I was at 720 and then I've gone up to 1080. I don't think, that's a good analogy, but it's as though you added more pixels into my vision so that I can now see in more detail. I'm seeing the same objects, I'm seeing, the same overall picture. It's just very much more clear. And I don't know how much that's going to continue. I think it's going to take, one of my friends and a mentor that I was kind of talking to was saying, it might take me half a year to adjust to this, which is very fair. And I'm definitely feeling that right now. So that's where I'm at post-surgery. Like I said, everything feels good. I have eye drops I have to do right now 4 times a day for the next few days, and then that drops down to 3 times a day for a week, and then 2 times a day for a week, and then once a day for a week. So working on doing those and just kind of getting into a routine with that has been interesting. But other than that, recovery is going well, and considering everything else going on in the world, there are much larger problems. But I wanted to talk about just the being overwhelmed, the recovery, and the reality of it, because it has not been the easiest couple of days. And I'm very grateful that this is the problem I have rather than no vision. But I also think this is something that I should talk about. And to be honest, I did feel a little bit of pressure from my job. They were accommodating in letting me go home yesterday, but because of some staffing issues, I was kind of asked, if you can make it today, please try. And I did, and it was okay. It is a lot. And if you go through something like this and you've experienced this, you probably know that it can feel like a lot. But knowing that, number one, it's not my fault. I didn't ask for this. I'm just rolling with the punches here. But also that this is a reality that disabled people like myself face, and I think it needs to be talked about. So do what you can, and let the rest be known, and advocate for yourself. And I think that's really important. So again, I hope this made sense. I'm not overly editing this or anything like that. We're just kind of documenting the process as I've been doing. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you want to share more about your experiences, I know a couple of you who have commented on recent videos have actually also had cataract surgery. So do you have anything relatable, or have you had a completely different experience? Let me know in the comments. But thanks for watching, and we'll see all of you very soon. Hopefully more updates to come with the channel and all that good stuff soon. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll talk soon. Peace.